Sree Iyer, let me begin with you first. What do you make of this new law, Sree Iyer, that has been effected by China to take control of Hong Kong once again? It's a brazen move to impose the dictatorial authoritarian regime in the semi-autonomous territory of Hong Kong.
Yes, indeed. And it appears that they have used this corona emergency as an effective ploy so that the whole world is occupied in fighting corona, and they have just about gone doing whatever it is that they want to do. This is most unfortunate. In fact, a lot of people in Hong Kong are having second thoughts on what their future might be, because under this law, you can easily be jailed, and many of those who are democratic, who have been used to the democracy in Hong Kong, they will find very, very uncomfortable to live now in Hong Kong. So a couple of things that have happened. One is, like you mentioned, that the US said that it will no longer export a lot of items that are high-tech and are of dual purpose use. They're going to stop doing that to Hong Kong. This, in my opinion, is just the first step in the escalation. The US completely very well knows that if it does anything to the Hong Kong dollar, China will use that as an excuse to get rid of the HKD completely and put RMB in Hong Kong also. Now, that might be a bad thing, because a lot of deals that US has for the Hong Kong are all based around the Hong Kong dollar to US dollar relationship. Now, this is a bit of a conundrum for US now. What is its next move going to be? Now, UK has already said that those who wish to migrate to United Kingdom will be allowed in. They are expecting 100,000 people from Hong Kong to migrate to United Kingdom. Most likely, these are overseas British passport holders. Sometimes they are lucky, sometimes they are not so lucky. I believe the Conservative government in UK will look kindly on allowing them in. The Labour government, which is considered Friends of India, would not allow a lot of the overseas British passport holders from Hong Kong and African countries to come to UK when Idi Amin was on the rampage, or when in 1997 the 100-year lease ran out, 99-year lease ran out. So there are lots of small things here, but I think I would look to what US is going to do next.
You're going to look at what the US is going to do next, but what about India, sir? So let me take that to Sree Iyer if I can. Sree Iyer, interestingly, HSBC now coming under the scanner. How do you view these developments? Also, Hermes, which has a big, actually holding within the bank, has now actually come out big and sought clarity from HSBC over whether it backs China in this oppression of Hong Kong or not.
Well, HSBC has always been the one place where the Chinese have, for the large part, laundered their money. And it always had to pay I think, the biggest amounts of fines in the US or in the Europe after the 2008 crisis. So it doesn't come as a surprise that HSBC is towing the Chinese Communist Party line. I'm intrigued a little bit, Uday, as to what the US might do, because US will not be able to attack and take over Hong Kong. I'm just giving scenarios here. The reason is there is a COVID problem. You cannot move people so quickly. But what the US can do is they can blockade the Malacca Strait. And even that, I'm not so sure, because there's not much commerce going on right now. Are there other ways to do it? Sure. Don't let China get any oil. And how would that be? They would have to apply pressure on other pressure points, but they might still be able to get it from Russia. So I am thinking that there is going to be some interesting outcomes that might happen. For example, there could be a cyber warfare between US and China. China has always been trying to attack US systems either directly or through North Korea. I mean, there is a website that tells you all the real-time attacks that are happening, cyber-wise. And if you look at it, many of those things originate from North Korea, China, and in Iran. These are the three countries that are always hitting at US, and the US also hits back. It's not like, it's only one direction. So I'm curious what the next move of the United States is going to be. It is really, really odd. See, they could just completely freeze HSBC account money in the United States. That could be a huge dampener. But right now, I'm not sure that is enough.
Okay.
That's my
All right, Rishabh, thanks for joining us with those updates. Let me take that straight across to Sree Iyer. Sree Iyer, of course, you had a point to make before we took that break. You can go ahead and make it. But also, what do you now make of these certain countries which are coming out and backing China? And most surprising in this list is actually Saudi Arabia.
Well, these are all things that they would have lined up. They would have lined up their horses before they decided to enact this law. These are all quid pro quos, Uday. And UNHRC has become a joke with members like, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. I don't take that thing seriously at all. There is one other significant development that happened in the United States that I'd like to bring the attention of this panel to. That is on May 19th. Congressman Scott Perry, he introduced a bill, HR 6948. And I'll just read the headline of that. To authorize the president to recognize the Tibet Autonomous Region of the People's Republic of China as a separate, independent country and for other purposes. This has just been introduced in the Congress. It will be debated there, it will be voted upon, then it will go to Senate, and then the president will have to pass it. If China is going to be doing what it is doing now, Trump might be tempted to fast track this, and if US recognizes the autonomous region of Tibet, I would expect India to jump on that bandwagon almost immediately. Or in fact, US will also line up its own set of people who will come in and say, we all recognize Tibet as an autonomous region.
That's an interesting point you're
China
making.
is an
and with US now withdrawing favors from Hong Kong, they may actually want to extend favors to this autonomous territory of Tibet instead.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's an interesting point. So this is going to be debated in Congress. A congressman there actually bringing out this bill, wanting to recognize Tibet as an autonomous region. This is a US congressman who has actually come out with this bill, and this perhaps might find favor with Donald Trump in this situation, global situation developing. Sree Iyer, yes, you had a point to make.
Well, our India's MEA is at best meek. I have never seen them play on the front foot. Only recently they are trying to do that. And every time they have done something of significance is when somebody else comes and prods them and say, look, this is what India is being subjected to. You got to do something about it. For example, in the United Kingdom, the Labour Party in its annual convention passed a resolution saying that if we are elected, we will drag India and the Kashmir issue in the United Nations Security Council. And the Indian High Commission didn't do anything until PGurus took it up and said, you got to do something about it. And then they acted. So what my point in saying this is, after that, they have been a little bit more proactive. India tends to be very, very meek. They don't seem to want to do anything. So I don't have high hopes that India will do something that will stop China in its tracks. However, India can be quick once US recognizes the autonomous region of Tibet to then say, yes, we will set up the government here. We will do whatever it takes to set up Dalai Lama and having them functioning as a government. That kind of pressure India should be able to do. And I hope that India can still get some of the US businesses who are looking out of China to see where else they can set up shop. In my opinion, India continues to not have a clarity that it ought to have to try and get new business in. Why can't they give a tax holiday for 5 years? For example, Apple to move their entire business from China to India. They don't do that. They only give a 15% break. By the time you take that 15% and add all the other overheads that India has to suffer, it's not very economical for US-based companies to come and set up shop in India, especially when you have things like, the Sterlite copper being shut down by people. I mean, we have so many different parties pulling in so many different directions. For God's sake, sometimes I wish that all these parties start feeling that something that is good for the country should be supported by them. Instead, each one is trying to see what is in it for me, and this sort of always derails these people. All short-term, very, very narrow-minded, short-sighted people who are only looking at what's in it for me instead of thinking about what is it for the country. When everybody gets new business, I mean, the entire population is going to be more prosperous. I don't know why that simple logic escapes some of these regional parties. Anyway, I'm going on a rant here. I will stop now. But my point is, US is the best positioned country to take a really, really strong move, make a strong move against China. Trump is really hurting. He thought he was the king at the art of making a deal, and China gave him a real, lemon by the signing of the first phase of the agreement, where they said that we will not be bound by this agreement if there is a natural calamity. And sure enough, there was a natural calamity.
Okay.
So that sort of stuff is no.
We're
So I think
completely out of
US
time.
will
I'm
be the
going to
one
have
who
to
will
leave
do
it at that.